Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, before we start lesson, let's pray together. Okay, good. First, I wanna introduce myself. My name is Ika Aprilia Hidayati. You can call me Miss Ika or Miss Lia. How are you today? Okay, good. I'm good too today. First, I wanna add something for. Okay, can you look that picture? Yes. When we exercise, a lot of energy is expended, so that makes the body feel tired. The body feels tired because we spend a lot of energy and make us need a lot of air to regulate breathing. Okay, after watching this slide, anyone can mention what is one of characteristic the living things? Anyone help me? Please hands up. Okay, Sita, can you mention the answer of the question? Okay, exactly true. Good. Give applause for Sita. Okay, good. The answer for that question is breathing. Exactly. Okay, next question. How the air enters to our body? Anyone want to answer? Please hands up like always. Okay, Daryl. Can you answer for this question? Okay, good. Please give applause for your friends again. Okay, a good answer for Daryl is air enters to our body through the nose and exchange in the lungs. Good answer for your friends. Okay, first, what is the respiration? Respiration is the process of air taking to get oxygen for the required of foodstuff in the cell, and the final product is energy. By the big line, air taking by organisms separate into two, direct and indirectly. Okay, next, anatomy and physiology in respiratory system. In human, respiratory organ consists of nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchus, lungs, and alveoli. Nasal cavity is entering place of respiratory air. In the organ found a smooth hair and mucilage membrane that have function to filter air in our body. The air enter becomes rather humid and change air temperature to be suitable with body temperature. The next is pharynx. Pharynx is canal has the length of 12 until 14 cm, like in parallel vertebrate. The organ is happening place of crossing over between respiratory tract and digestive tract. The organ found the base of throat bar, you can call it as larynx, and the length of larynx is 3 until 4 cm. In the larynx is found the part slit goes to trachea, you can call it glottis, and voice band. There are several muscles They control the tension of voice band, like a sound produce and vibrate. Okay, the next organ is trachea. This function of the trachea is for the connective to the next organ in respiratory process. The next organ is bronchus. Bronchus is the lower ends of trachea, like inverse Y letters, form into two bronchi. The right bronchus and the left bronchus. Okay, the next organ is the lung, the big organ in respiratory system. The lung is located in chest cavity, and in the lung has one pair, right lung and the left lung. The right lung consists of 3 lobes, while and the left lung consists 2 lobes. And well, right lung is bigger than left lung. Right lung and left lung have a cover by lung. You can call it as pleura. In the lung, you can find so many alveolus, and in human, you can find about 300 billion of alveoli. The alveolus is exchanging place of the gas, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Okay, after you know some organ in respiratory system, arises a question like how to gas transported in respiratory system. Okay, let's see the next video.
Gas exchange. All of our cells need energy. They get it by breaking down glucose, a simple sugar we get from food. This process, called cellular respiration, uses oxygen and produces carbon dioxide as waste. The main function of the respiratory system is to provide the oxygen from out of the air and remove the carbon dioxide into the air. This takes place in the lungs, with the gases carried to and from the cells by the bloodstream. The exchange of gases between the blood and the air occurs in the alveoli, microscopic air sacs in the lungs that are surrounded by tiny blood vessels. When we inhale, all 300 million alveoli expand and fill with air. Oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the blood, and carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli. Diffusion is the natural movement of gas or liquid particles from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Think of how the smell of baking biscuits spreads out from the oven right through the house. Diffusion can even take place through a membrane if the particles are small enough to get through it. For example, a helium balloon that's been left for a couple of days gets smaller and softer because the helium has slowly diffused through the skin of the balloon into the surrounding air. The walls of the alveoli are membranes too, ones that oxygen and carbon dioxide can diffuse through. Because breathing keeps bringing fresh air into the lungs and the circulatory system keeps bringing blood that is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide, diffusion always acts to bring oxygen into the body and take carbon dioxide out. And this goes on day in, day out, for every minute of our lives, so that our cells stay alive and so that we stay alive.
Okay, the next is disease of respiratory system. Disruption of respiratory system, so many disruption. Disruption in respiratory system such as TBC, asthma, allergen, pneumonia, and so many diseases. But one of them, and viral now, is coronavirus disease, or COVID-19.
Coronaviruses are a family of viruses that cause sicknesses like the common cold, as well as more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. A novel coronavirus is a new strain, one that has not previously been recognized in humans. Coronaviruses cause diseases in mammals and birds. A zoonotic virus is one that is transmitted between animals and people. When a virus circulating in animal populations infects people, this is termed a spillover event. It is speculated that the 2019 novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, originated in bats and was transmitted to humans, possibly with pangolins as an intermediate host. Unfortunately, COVID-19 is now spreading from human to human as well. COVID-19 has surpassed the SARS death toll in a matter of weeks. Even though the death rate is much lower, it spreads faster. Early data suggests that in around 82% of cases, symptoms are relatively mild. The illness begins and ends in the lungs. However, the remainder of cases are severe or critical, typically in older or immunocompromised individuals. How does COVID-19 affect the body? The virus is fitted with protein spikes sticking out of the envelope that forms the surface and houses a core of genetic material. Any virus that enters your body looks for cells with compatible receptors, ones that allow it to invade the cell. Once they find the right cell, they enter and use the cell's replication machinery to create copies of themselves. It is likely that COVID-19 uses the same receptor as SARS, found in both lungs and small intestines. It is thought that COVID-19 shares many similarities with SARS, which has 3 phases of attack: viral replication, hyperreactivity of the immune system, and finally pulmonary destruction. Early on in infection, the coronavirus invades 2 types of cells in the lungs: mucus and cilia cells. Mucus keeps your lungs from drying out and protects them from pathogens. Cilia beat the mucus towards the exterior of your body, clearing debris, including viruses, out of your lungs. Cilia cells are the preferred hosts of SARS-CoV and are likely the preferred hosts of the new coronavirus. When these cells die, they slough off into your airways, filling them with debris and fluid. Symptoms include a fever, cough, and breathing difficulties. Many of those infected get pneumonia in both their lungs. Enter the immune system. Immune cells recognize the virus and flood into the lungs. The lung tissue becomes inflamed. During normal immune function, the inflammatory process is highly regulated and is confined to infected areas. However, sometimes the immune system overreacts, and this results in damage to healthy tissue. More cells die and slough off into the lungs, further clogging them and worsening the pneumonia. As damage to the lungs increases, stage 3 begins, potentially resulting in respiratory failure. Patients that reach this stage of infection can incur permanent lung damage or even die. We see the same lesions in the lungs of those infected by the novel coronavirus as those with SARS. SARS creates holes in the lungs, so they look honeycomb-like. This is probably due to the aforementioned overreactive immune response, which affects both healthy and infected tissue, and creates scars that stiffen the lungs. As such, some patients may require ventilators to aid breathing. The inflammation also results in more permeable alveoli. Alveoli are the location of the thin interface of gas exchange, where your lungs replace carbon dioxide in your blood with fresh oxygen you just inhaled. Increased permeability causes fluid to leak into the lungs. This decreases the lung's ability to oxygenate blood, and in severe cases, floods them so that you become unable to breathe. Sometimes, this can be fatal. The immune system's overreaction can also cause another kind of damage. Proteins called cytokines are the immune system's alarm system, recruiting immune cells to the infection site. Overproduction of cytokines can result in a cytokine storm, where there is large-scale inflammation in the body. Blood vessels become more permeable and fluid seeps out. This makes it difficult for blood and oxygen to reach the rest of the body, and can result in multi-organ failure. This has happened in the most severe cases of COVID-19. Although there are no specific treatments for coronaviruses, symptoms can be treated through supportive care. Also, vaccines are currently in development. So, what can you do to protect yourself from COVID-19? Advisories vary in different countries, but the basic protocol comes down to regular hand washing, avoiding close contact with anyone coughing or sneezing, avoiding unnecessary contact with animals, washing hands after contact with animals, thoroughly cooking meat and eggs prior to consumption, and covering your mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing. Respiratory viruses are typically transmitted via droplets in sneezes or coughs of those infected, so preventing their travel stops the spread of disease.
Coming soon. Should you wear a mask? And if so, what kind? Thanks for liking and subscribing. We love getting your comments.
Well, that's all lesson for this time, and I can't be more or less apologize. And we must say hamdallah for this lesson. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.